Yesterday I went for a surf and the surf was up, which was pretty good. But I caught my first wave and it was a bit of a closeout and got caught on the bank. What happened was I turned around and I went to paddle back out, and normally when I paddle out through the surf, I always count how many waves that I have to duck dive under to get out the back. On this occasion, I duck dived under 45 waves, and I would have been paddling for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes to get out the back, and I was
Sensor.
So today, my shoulders are feeling a little bit achy and a little bit sore. So I've actually been spending a little bit of time on the ground to see if I can loosen them up and just help them through that recovery. So this one's been one that I've been using. Occasionally I'll use it on myself, but I find it's really good for people who struggle and they run out of room in their shoulder right at the end range. So generally there's sort of two presentations in the shoulder that we find. One is called the classical painful arc syndrome. That's where in this range about here, that sort of mid-range, we find irritation. And then there is the more subacromial impingement presentation. And we generally find that we can get through that painful arc with no real problems, but it's up about here that we run out of room and that we can go for, we can get impinged in our shoulders. So in that situation, we can release a couple of key muscle groups, and the subscapularis, which is a bit of a rotator cuff muscle which resides in the armpit here, we can loosen that up with a trigger ball, and it tends to work quite good. So there's a couple of different trigger balls that you can use. This one is, it's a new one that we've been using, and we actually stock these, which is good. But it's 12 centimeters opposed to the smaller, more dense rubber balls that, typically we call them the lacrosse ball. But this one's fantastic for this particular release because it sits up off the ground, and it's also got a bit of a smoother top to it, so it's not quite so insulting to our tissues as we're trying to massage through them. So how it works, it's pretty simple. We're just going to place it on the ground here like this. Hopefully you can see that there, about there. I'm going to use my one hand here and I'm just going to place it into that armpit region. So just so that you know, through here, we've got our lats which go down through here. So what we're going to do is we're going to come more towards our armpit in through there. In fact, this particular muscle, this subscap muscle, it's a shoulder internal rotator, just like my lats are. And it's probably no surprise that it's feeling pretty sore today considering all that paddling that was done yesterday. So this is how you do it. Straight onto your tummy like that, place the ball in the armpit, and straight away, generally you'll be able to find those tight little areas. And it's going to put a little bit of pressure through there. And then once I find my spot, I'm just going to hold my pressure on it, and then I'm just going to lift my arm ever so slightly, and that pressure is going to intensify a little bit. So I might spend maybe 2 or 3 minutes working through that area, just like that. And the relief that you get and the range of motion is really quite incredible. So if you're feeling like you're lost that last little bit of range of motion in your shoulders, give it a go, see if you can release in through that subscap muscle, and I guarantee you'll increase your shoulder mobility and be able to get to those positions a lot easier without that impingement sensation. Give it a go.